All right, and let's go back to that Division 4 matchup. The glass slipper fits for Napoleon so far. They haven't given up a single point, 28-0 over Bay Village Bay in round 2. Eggers dominant last week, 141 yards, 4 touchdowns. First time they've won 2 playoff games in the same season in 21 years. But they have, as we mentioned before, a very formidable opponent in Sandusky Perkins, who's scoring just 48.5 points per game in the playoffs.
Jeez.
No big deal. So we haven't allowed a point to, boy, we sure know how to score points, Mason, coming up this Friday.
Yeah, no kidding.
Unstoppable force, immovable object, that whole fun thing.
Absolutely. And, we were talking about Perkins just a few minutes ago. They have beaten up on some really good football teams. Rocky River, who was the number 4 seed in Region 10, Padua Franciscan, they were right up there too. Shout out Sandusky in Week 9. It's such an impressive Sandusky team that figured out how to slow down Mason Heinzel 2 weeks ago and came within a quarter of pulling off another major upset, a much bigger upset.
Yeah, over Anthony Wayne.
Against Anthony Wayne. And when you consider that their one loss is by 1 point to Edison, who certainly could win a state championship in their division. Really, really, really impressed with these guys. I do feel as though, and I said this already, Napoleon might be a different challenge in terms of their physicality and the way that they always embrace that underdog role. Napoleon will not be out-physicaled. You might be better than them. You might beat them on a good night, and you very well may, and a lot of teams did this year. The fact that they're healthy, the fact that they have nothing to lose, playing with a chip on their shoulder, and they've got almost every game the best athlete on the field in Trey Rubenstein. It's going to be fun. I think this will be a game into the second half.
It'll be a test. Sandusky having Braden Collier, the SBC Lake's most outstanding performer, 12 SBC Lake first teamers.
That's
for
crazy
Sandusky.
to think about.
Yeah, more than half of the first team offensive defensive roster coming from Sandusky Perkins, Justin.
And they earned it. Braylon Collier is going to Michigan State. Mikey Young going to Harvard.
Yep.
Then you throw in Weston Sturzinger, Sam Schweinfurt, the quarterback, Isaac Bunce. I've said their names a number of times during the highlights on Friday night. And Coach Jalen Santoro has done a fantastic job with Perkins. And my concern with Napoleon in this matchup is they've beaten Clearview and Bay, but I rely upon the Drew Pastor's Fantastic 50 website just to get some background and crunch some numbers kind of thing. And based on his ratings and the formulas that he uses, kind of re-ranking them based on what he believes in the formulas that he designs and the algorithms that he designs. Based on those 16 teams, he had Napoleon rated 6th. So not 13th, what they ultimately were.
Right.
So they were 6th, and then the Clearview and Bay were 16th and 15th, respectively. So in some ways, Napoleon, despite the 13th seed, should and did beat those 2 other teams.
Right.
However, Perkins, number 1 in that region, Fantastic 50, in the entire state in Division 4. So obviously number 1 in the region, number 1 ranked for a portion of the time in the AP state rankings, Perkins was. So this is going to be a challenge for Eggers that you mentioned, Owen Espinosa, Trey Rubenstein, Parker Woods, and Coach Tyler Swery. They're going to have to game plan way more in the sense of, okay, how do we try to stop this offense? Because there was one highlight I caught of Collier. I mean, he just took off down the line, and my line was, you want to know what a Division I athlete looks like? He's on your screen right now.
Sure.
That's what it looks like, because he was knifing and just avoiding everybody all the way down the sidelines and just looking like a D1 guy against lesser foes. But this is going to be an interesting matchup, kind of a Sandusky Erie, BCSN Erie versus BCSN Toledo area game.